Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. What a crazy up and down game. The most important thing is they won. Now, it could have easily went in the Rangers' favor. There's no doubt about that. And Captain Claude Giroux and Jakub Voracek, the leaders of the group, definitely put the squad on their back, which was fantastic to see. But do I think any differently about this team because of this win? No. But I do know that it's important to beat the Sabres, to beat the Rangers, to beat these bad teams when they are on their schedule, especially because you're struggling to beat the Penguins, you're struggling to beat the Capitals, you're struggling to beat the Bruins, you're struggling to beat the top-tier opponents in this division, which is telling you something. That's definitely a storyline. That's definitely something to acknowledge, but I do feel that it's important as well when you do have a stinker of a squad up next, take care of business, right? Because it can easily be a loss, and then now you're talking about this brutal trend, this brutal stretch where you can't dig yourself out of it at all. So once again, do I think any differently about this squad? No, not at all, because I saw the same issues defensively. I saw the poor neutral zone play. That second period, how easy was it for the Rangers to break out of their zone, hit the neutral zone with speed, and then fly through to get a grade A scoring chance on Carter Hart? It was so simple. In the second period, I saw Travis Sanheim shoot a puck on his own net, and I also saw him get obliterated with the pass all the way through the neutral zone. All the way through the neutral zone where Panarin had this filthy dish backdoor to Blackwell, and they were able to score. I think that one was to tie it up 2-2. But what's he doing there? And Phil Myers takes a bad angle, but also Sanheim doesn't get back to help out on the pass at all. I thought his work ethic getting back after he got beat wasn't very good. So I see these same flaws. For their fourth goal, you're getting outworked in the corner. You're getting beat by their bottom guys. And then Carter Hart gets sniped top shelf. And yeah, you know what? That was good placement. But I also think that Carter Hart could have came up with more timely saves. He did have that unbelievable save on Chris Kreider moments before that fourth goal was scored, so he did come up big in that area, and he did have some nice saves throughout, but that timely save, that timely save where there's a defensive breakdown and you get it, well, you had it once, but you might need to have it more than once with this decor, and I think Carter Hart can be that goalie who can make multiple timely saves, so I hold him to a high standard. But if I'm going to look at Carter Hart tonight, I'll say there's definitely positives for him to build off of. The fact that you grabbed the 2 points is big for someone that was losing so much confidence. He really wasn't himself as of late, so any sort of big win is crucial for the mental mindset of Carter Hart for where they are in the circumstances in between the pipes. They started out this game so well, right? That first period, it was all Flyers. And for JVR to bury the biscuit on Kincaid, that was awesome. You see this first line generate so much buzz, and you see it through the neutral zone. The Flyers actually look good in the neutral zone in that time frame, where you have the puck moving through Couttsy. You take a hit to make a play. Joel Farabee slides it over to JVR, and boom, he finishes it beautifully. 5-hole. Mwah! Mwah! It was so nice to see. Open up the 5-hole, bang, puts it through Kincaid for a 1-0 lead. Now you have the Rangers icing the puck. You get an offensive zone draw. You win the faceoff. Gets to Provorov, rips it. It goes posting in. Did it look like there was some sort of misdirection in front? I don't know. Did the puck wobble a bit? Was it just because of the initial shot from Provorov that forced the puck to wobble? Who knows? Quite frankly, I don't really care who gets credit for it, but it was a nice shot. It all started because of generating some offensive zone time, forcing the Rangers, who were limited in players. They had some COVID issues, so that even forced them to be worse than what they are originally, which is a bad hockey team, which is a dumpster fire of a unit. So they're icing the puck. You win your draws. This team is dynamite when it comes to face-offs and winning in the face-off dot, which is very important, by the way. I saw someone try and pretend like that wasn't a big deal. Well, I don't care about faceoffs. It was someone who was talking about Giroux and how dominant Giroux still is. And I thought maybe that individual was going a little too far with how dominant Giroux is at this point in his career. He has moments, and honestly, as much as I'm a Giroux supporter, there is a bit of me that enjoys when he does this, but then I also question, okay, Why don't I see this more against the Capitals? Why don't I see this more against the top echelon teams? We're seeing it against the Rangers, and we're seeing it against these weaker opponents. I do want to see it a bit more from Claude Giroux, and this is coming from someone who really loves him. But when it comes back to that face-off conversation, it was mentioned how great he is at the dot. And someone pretended the argument was, oh, well, who cares about face-off dots? I don't care about face-off dots. I just care about the points. Well, guess what? There's a lot in play when it comes to winning draws. It's not the most splashiest thing in the world, but there's so many little things in hockey that matter so much. Making a simple bank off the wall that puts the puck into space, that allows you to get out of your own zone, going high off the glass, blocking a shot. You saw Joel Farabee take one off the top of his skate right below the shin pad. He went down. Like, you're doing those little things that don't pop on the stat sheet. Now, even though faceoffs do pop on the stat sheet, it can't get overlooked how good this team is when it comes to dropping the puck. But that was big, and it really helped them produce that second goal in the first period. So I mentioned Farabee going down. Nolan Patrick went down a little weird as well. He ran into the boards. The puck was along the wall. Something happened with his foot, his skate. It was like an awkward tweak, but he ended up being okay. The second period made no sense to me. They came out so flat. You got dominated. Your first shot wasn't until about 10 minutes into that second period. You got to be kidding me. And you could just sense that there would be a shift. You would just sense that there would be a time where the Rangers were able to explode and get on the board. And that's exactly what happened when Panarin lets one go. A beautiful one-timer. And he's celebrating big time. Just a fun celebration for sure, just from a hockey fan perspective. When you score a big bingo and you let one go, you let a big celebration fly. Always a good feeling. Not that I had too many of those moments in my career as a stay-at-home defenseman, but I could imagine that it would be fun to jump up into the glass, give a couple fist pumps, and have the stick going wild. But anyway, you knew that Panarin was going to be making a play soon. It was only time until that happened. You could smell it. The Rangers were smelling blood, and the D-zone issues continue to be a problem. And what bothers me the most is they're just simple plays. They're standard plays. It's making the first outlet pass. It's going tape to tape. It's just simple breakout problems, and then not getting in on the forecheck. I don't know how you go from last year, which was fast pace, get pucks deep, get behind the goal line, bang the body, establish the forecheck, create turnovers. How does that just go away instantly? How do you not do that anymore to allow this Rangers team to just tic-tac-toe up ice, tape to tape, speed, flow, good odd man rushes? How do you go from one extreme to the next? It's like this decor thing. It doesn't make sense that one man changed the whole identity of the decor, but it did. And with this unit up front, what do you tell me? Tyler Pitlick and Nate Thompson and Derek Grant were the difference in getting up in the forecheck and establishing a little bit of momentum there? That's a joke, right? It's not a reality. We all know that. I'm clearly making a joke here. So how come it died out the way that it did so quickly? You gotta jump up on these fellas. You really do. And I didn't really love some of the decision-making out of Alain Vigneault when it came to the lineup. Nate Prosser stinks. All right, the guy's -3. He barely played. He's bad. I'm not a big Robert Haig guy, but you're telling me Nate Prosser is a better alternative? I would have to disagree with you there. And Baker Bell did not deserve to be in the lineup for what he did last game. You want to make a statement to Travis Konechny for his 5-on-5 poor defense earlier into the season, which I can support. But if you're going to do that, how do you allow Baker Bell to fall asleep on the bench for 15, 18 seconds or so, the opposing team score last game, and then he's back into the lineup, he's taking a penalty early in the game? What are you doing, AV? I'm kind of lost on your message at this point, and don't even get me started on what he is saying post-game with they're trending in the right direction. Him, Giroux, JVR, in what universe are you actually moving forward in the right direction? And I feel that one of the reasons why they're saying this is honestly because they are getting more shots on net than they did earlier in the season. How does that always relate to playing the better version of hockey? I do sense that he's admitting, though, that we're going to make mistakes. And he made it clear a lot of times. We're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to make turnovers. And I think that's him almost admitting, hey, we have a problem here. I know that. And there is no fix. So there are going to be problems. And with those problems, we need to come up with a different game plan. This is going to be our game plan. So, hey, we're heading in the right direction with it. But quite frankly, I disagree completely. So kind of getting back to on track of the timeline here throughout the game. Panarin gets the one-timer. I mentioned Sanheim and Myers getting torched in the neutral zone where Blackwell ended up scoring. Sanheim shot the puck on Carter Hart prior to that, which is just insane. How about Ghost getting torched? Absolutely torched for the Rangers to score their third goal. A really nice play, cut to the backhand. You go from the right side of the net, if you're looking at Carter Hart, right side of the net, using your speed, crossing over, going backhand. That would be blocker side on Carter Hart. That was a nice move, but Ghost, you got to move your legs, bud. You're not moving your legs. You're trying to use your stick. You're trying to go stick on stick, but if you don't move your feet, you're going to get beat. You're going to get waxed. And it's like, what happened here? You were up 2-0. You were the better team in the first period. Then you fall asleep that much? I mean, to that level of falling asleep, you're going to allow this Rangers team that's shorthanded to score 3 goals on you because of poor abysmal play throughout the neutral zone and heading into your own D zone. Now, I mean, it just has to change. Now, luckily, you end up getting a power play at the end of the period, right? And Joel Farabee, look, this power play has been a problem, and I'm trying to relate how this got better, because AV did make a statement about the power play, and he was going to get his hands in and on a bit more, and he was going to be a little bit more involved, and you're seeing a difference. There's no doubt that as of late, the power play has been better. And Joel Farabee, this play started with Voracek off the wall, passes it Giroux behind the goal line. And look, the goal was outstanding. Short side, quick release, one touch, little snap, right over the shoulder. Beautiful placement and a timely goal to make it tied heading into the third. With how bad that second was, you get a chance to tie it up and say, hey, 20 miles, 20 smiles, right? You go out there, you bang for 20, you win this 20, we're walking away with 2 points that we desperately need at this moment. So with Joel Farabee, yeah, you got to praise him because this kid is a stud and he is a lethal weapon. But Giroux with the poise and the patience with the pass and the mini sauce on top of it, let's make sure we credit Captain Claude for that outstanding pass and to put it right into the wheelhouse. You know, look, if it's a little bit to the left, if it's a little bit to the right, you might not be able to get that type of quickness and power off if you're Joel Farabee. That was important to get it over Kincaid's shoulder. So very big out of the captain. The power play goal was huge. And at the end of the second, there was this turning point because we have established that with this team, there's been moments where Claude Giroux gets knocked down, Sean Couturier gets knocked down, elbowed in the face, and nobody's doing a damn thing. Well, Claude Giroux gets hit pretty well in the open ice, and Nolan Patrick goes in to try and make a statement. Now, I'm not a big fan of Nolan Patrick. He hasn't been playing nearly good enough for my liking at all, and I would imagine everybody's liking for that matter, but I do like that he stepped in there. He's not a fighter, and it looked like there was a chance for a fight to happen, and I understand him not fighting. I don't expect him to fight. I don't want him to fight, but I do love the fact that he got in there. Then Voracek got in there. Sadly, Voracek ended up getting that extra penalty, which allowed the Rangers to get a power play at the end of the second, which transitioned into the third, which is not something you want to do. But Jonesy said this on the broadcast, and I agree with him, and I don't agree with him at the same time, but I do see the circumstances based off of our recent feelings on the way that this team doesn't stand up for one another. I almost admire and appreciate the fact that, look, I'll take the penalty. It's one of those penalties, if I'm a coach, I'm seeing that there's a change. I'm seeing that there's something positive to take out of this. This team has to fight for one another. I'm not talking dropping the mitts, but I'm talking battling harder. They got to stand up for one another. They got to get a little bit more chippy. They need more attitude. So it's, okay, will I be okay with the 2-minute minor at the end of the period to see the growth of my team, making sure that they are competing for one another and stepping up for the captain? It's one of those ones where, yes, I do, but at the same time, while I am a little bit upset because you got to come out with the 2 points. And if you allow a goal to happen off of that power play, I don't know if it's worth it because you got to make sure you are competing at a high level with these teams that are battling up top for this East Division. But they did kill it off, and there is a positive to take out of it. the Rangers did score that goal off of some bad D-zone battles, losing stick battles, losing puck battles, a shot wide open there in the slot area. Nice placed puck for sure, but that's one of those ones. And I know that Carter Hart just made a big save on Chris Kreider right before that. So to say, hey, I demand you to make 2 timely saves is a little rough. And knowing that Carter Hart hasn't been the strongest version of himself, now is going to be the time for me to do that. But I've seen Carter Hart make those saves, and I think he can make those saves. It would be different if I'm demanding Carter Hart to make the original save on Chris Kreider all the time. No, that's special, right? That's unreal. And a little bit was Carter Hart being great, and a little bit of it was, I think, Chris Kreider, if he had more patience, if he had a little bit more, if he waited a bit more, he probably could have outlasted the reach of Carter Hart. But that's not to take away from what Hart did. My point, though, bringing it back up to that power play, while the Rangers didn't score on that power play, they did score a couple minutes into the third period, so I did think that there was some sort of momentum heading into that third. But before we talk about that third period and the overtime, I do want to tell you about DeSimone Jewelers. I went to them for my fiance's engagement ring, and it was probably the best experience I've ever had when it came to getting jewelry, to the point where I went there for Christmas, I went there for birthdays. It is nonstop going to DeSimone Jewelers, and it's a family-owned business with over 40 years of experience. They moved from Jewelers Row to Haddonfield, New Jersey. They don't use sale tactics. They just show you options and educate their customers, and they treat their customers like family. I sat down, they showed me these tools, they're telling me to look at the diamond, and they took me outside, and they showed me why this diamond was so special compared to some of their other selections, and why this one would best suit me, and it's a phenomenal experience, and I do love the family-oriented vibe that they give. They customize and manufacture every ring they make from start to finish right there on location, and because of that, they're able to beat their competitors' prices. I've sent so many family members to them, and I get the same response. Brodes, they're amazing. I know, I told you, and you'll see exactly what I mean when you head in there. Tell them Brodes sent you. More information is down below in the description. All right, so that third period, Giroux gets high stick. How about that high sticking call where there was blood? Was there a bit of embellishment, head snapping back? Sure. Welcome to the NHL, but there was blood. So obviously there was enough in play. But I love the fact that here's the Rangers just nonchalantly no longer playing because they're like, oh, here we go. Here's a what? Oh, what's that? There's no penalty? That's how you know. You got caught red-handed. Literally. No pun intended. Red-handed. There you were. You had the O.J. Simpson white glove on your hand. And somehow the refs don't call anything until afterwards. It's like, hold on. Let's make sure what happened here was real. It was. Oh, you bet your ass it was. The Flyers got a power play. And this was insane. I love this power play setup between these two guys right now. And it's Voracek to Claude Giroux. Actually, it was Giroux down low once again. Passes it to Voracek, and as Giroux makes that pass, he sneaks back door and is wide open. Giroux perfectly places himself where he needs to, but it's Voracek pass that threads the needle, goes through a Ranger's legs, and hits him crisp right in the pass. Once again, just like I said with Giroux to Verby, if it's a little bit to the left, if it's a little bit to the right, you might not be able to execute the same way. That pass was so beautifully perfect that all Giroux had to do was be there. Just be there, and that'll be enough for it to get past the goal line, and it was. But it was perfection when it came to that puck movement on the power play. I loved it. Unfortunately, when the Flyers had another power play late, because I started to feel a little bit good. Hey, hold on a second. Is there something about this team right now that I should feel good about a power play? They scored! Kevin Hayes! Oh, Gucci's offside! You gotta be kidding me! You gotta be joking. And Hayes been a little quiet going up against his former team. And quite frankly, I think Hayes has been quiet all season long. I'm going to look up his stats because I don't know them off the top of my head. But just from the eye test, it's not as if Kevin Hayes has been, some player that I've recognized enough for my liking this season. And I thought last year he overachieved a little bit. Oh, look, he's got 20 points in 25 games, 9 goals. Last year he had 23 goals. So he's on pace for about the same amount, but does it really feel that way? I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of maybe nonchalant points. I'd have to go back and look, secondary assists and all that. I just feel that Kevin Hayes, he hasn't popped as much for my liking. He hasn't been as noticeable. And I know He does the intangible stuff. He does the little things. He is a 200-foot type of player, so some of his game isn't the most noticeable thing in the world. You got to dive deeper to see the special things that Kevin Hayes brings to your squad, and then talk about the off-the-ice stuff when it comes to the locker room and things of that nature. But yeah, 25 games, 9 goals. It doesn't scream like Kevin Hayes has had that much production. And to see him score against his former team in the Rangers and for it to get taken back, it was such a demoralizing moment. And I wasn't feeling great about it. You had, this was still in regulation, right? Still in regulation. And I talked about the dominance of Giroux. It wasn't just what he did in those moments on the power play. He hit Scott Lawton for a breakaway where he was trying to settle the puck and go 5-hole tuck, which he executes all the time. Wasn't able to get it past Kincaid. He hit Voracek on the breakaway. He wasn't able to get one. So G was all over the ice and really demanding, willing this team to the finish line, and it's tremendous to see the captain pull that type of stuff out. I love watching Giroux at this level. It is a special player to see him do it. And yeah, as someone who is more on the supporting Claude Giroux side, that's amazing, but I do want to see it more, and I got something stuck in my eye here that is killing me. That just threw me off track and is definitely throwing me out of whack here. Wow, this is painful, and hopefully I can continue to talk as I rub my eye insanely, see if something pops out here. But, yeah, with Claude Giroux, he needs to be able to do this against a tougher opponent. If he willed this team to a win against Boston, if he willed this team to a win against the New York Islanders, let's use the Islanders as an example, as they are the team that's up and coming, and they are the team that will be played after the Rangers. Let's see it. Let's see you dominate a team like the Islanders, who are structurally sound, playing absolutely fantastic hockey, who is a team that will suffocate you in the neutral zone. Like, I want to see it. I want to see that level of Claude Giroux once again. But they had so many great chances. And then that overtime period, you knew that the Rangers were going to try and rag it and take all the time in the world. And Voracek with this crazy long-ass shift. I understood what Kincaid was trying to do. Let's get the puck up ice. Let's move the puck. The Flyers are looking for a change. Let's see if we can catch them in transition. But what he didn't realize was there's Jake Voracek, who's ready to pounce. And he takes it in on a breakaway on one of the craziest tired shifts I've ever seen in my life. He couldn't even lift his hands afterwards. He was that tired. But Voracek finished the job, and I don't know what Kincaid was doing on that final play. He got beat with ease. You know, it wasn't even that crazy of a deke. He went with your traditional deke. But I guess at that speed and that moment of the game, he went for it. But yeah, I thought it was pretty damn unbelievable out of Voracek and Claude Giroux to lead this team the way that they did. I hated Shane Gostisbehere's night. I did not like Travis Sanheim's throughout a decent portion of the game. Phil Myers made some mistakes. Prosser shouldn't be out there. Ooh, Shane Gostisbehere with a tough one, man, for real. With a tough one. And even when Kevin Hayes scored that goal, because this relates to something we've seen in the past with this team, the recent past, is so Ghost is at the top of the PP, and they move it over, fake clapper, moving the puck around the top, get it over to Kevin Hayes, he rips it and scores. Should have been saved. It hit off of Kincaid's blocker and into the net. Wasn't a special shot, but hey, take shots. Put pucks on net. Good things can happen. So hey, you know what I mean? You need some puck luck for sure. So that happens, and it's like, oh, Ghost running that power play. I was seeing some of those Flyers tweets out there. Ghost running the power play? I mean, it goes back to what happened the other night when they had that fight back against the Capitals. So Ghost gets abused by a terrible defenseman in Jensen, an offensive defenseman, terrible offensive defenseman. And he's not an offensive defenseman. My point is, he sucks offensively. So he gets roasted for a goal. He gets abused by Hagelin in front of net for a goal. But I'm supposed to be happy that he put a puck on net and scored to help this team fight back, with air quotes, against the Caps. No, you sucked prior. So I'm not giving you credit. It's the same with this. I saw people like, oh, Ghost coming back to his power play form. Ghost sucked tonight. Sucked. So if that Kevin Hayes goal counted, really, I'm supposed to praise Shane Gostisbehere after that. Please. I just think that that's crazy. But As we move on to the Anytime Hotline here to hear what the people had to say, I still have Kevin Hayes' stats up on my screen. And, I just want to point out, like, hey, yeah, maybe I'm curious if you feel the same way. So I would love to hear it in the comment section down below. Do you feel like Kevin Hayes has had the same level of impact no matter what the stats say here? It doesn't feel that way. And in the NHL, look, I have to do the research. I'd have to dig back into it, see the secondary assists and all. But my point is, I've seen plenty of times where people can log a bunch of secondary assists and it not be as impactful and all. But I'm just going off the eye test, and I'm acknowledging that I'm just kind of going off the eye test. All right, so let's take some phone calls here as I pull them up, and let's hear the reaction after the game.
I mean, a win's a win. Defense still doesn't look good, but it's a win, I guess. We got points. We used to stay in the playoffs for now. And I honestly credit this win to all the guys that were out there on the ice in overtime that had the long shifts and they held on. I mean, they were out there for like 2 minutes. That's unheard of. And they got it. They held off till they could get off the ice. And then Jakub Voracek also was on the ice for a while. And then that was a dandy. Dandy. And we got the W.
Well, I'm sorry there. I almost just cut you off. No, it was a dandy. It was a beauty for sure. And I'm with you with, like, the lack of excitement. It's not one where you're, like, screaming, fist pumping and all, but I do think it's important to get it. There is something to be said, because when you play this bad and when you are this awful, you would think that you would fall to these bad teams. And who knows? Maybe that happens on Wednesday. Maybe they're due to lose to the Rangers because they have beaten them in their last couple of games. They have beaten the Sabres. So they're due for a loss against a team that they should win. But I am discouraged that they're losing to the teams that you're going to have to beat in the playoff. But I'm almost encouraged because they're taking care of business against the teams that they are supposed to beat. So I'm not telling you I'm buying a lot of stock into this, that I'm already transitioning my thoughts on what they can be because of beating bad teams. That doesn't make me happy. I need to see you beat these great teams, but there is something to be said about it. Right now, we're confused. We're trying to figure it out. What is their identity? Who are they? What type of team are they? Are they a playoff team? Not because of how great they are, but maybe a product of where this East Division is with that 4th spot. Who are the Flyers? And if they continue to beat up on these bad teams, but they are losing to the good teams, who are the Flyers? I'm just trying to figure it out. And as we kind of touched on Kevin Hayes, another name that sparked my mind, obviously, was Travis Konechny. And, man, I'll tell you what. Talk about someone that you anticipated taking, a bigger step this season. Just not there. Bitten a little bit. He's got 7 goals in 19 games. He had 24 goals last year, 24 goals the year before. I had 3 straight years of 24 goals, although last year was only 66 games, so that is different. But he had 61 points total. Just another guy where, the eye test will tell you. Travis Konechny, whether he's hitting posts or whatever, lack of confidence, lack of swag. Like, he played with this oomph, right? He played with this, let's be realistic, fuck you attitude, did he not? And you don't have that. You are lacking in that area, and when that's something you need to do, it's sort of like when I played, right? I was an energy guy. There's no doubt about it. I wasn't a high-volume minute guy. I had my role. I was on the 3rd D pairing. If I wasn't a healthy scratch, I was in your 3rd D pairing. So that was my role, and I understood that. But I had a way of playing on the ice where, blocking shots and chipping pucks out. And, I had a role that gave off a little bit of energy. I was very vocal. Big thing for me was very vocal on the bench. Hey, boys, let's go, boys. Keep it up, boys. Right? One of those. Like, hey, great shift up there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm using an example. One of my teammates, Rosie. Hey, Rosie, great shift, bud. Let's go. I hit him on the helmet. Always, constantly. If I was to not do that anymore, I think you lose value in what I bring when I'm out there on the ice, when I'm on the bench, when I am in the lineup. That is something that I do well. Well, with Travis Konechny, that energy that he gives off, it's no longer there. So if you take that away from him and he's just out there, you lose what you had in him last year, the year before, that gave you that power. Now, I'm not saying it's lost forever, but let's be realistic. There's been a little bit of disappointment out of Travis Konechny.
I'm a Philly fan all the way around, all 4 teams. That was the most groan-worthy win since watching Carson Wentz throw 2 picks against the Cowboys when they had Ben DiNucci as their quarterback. A lot of good things you can see in this game, but the horrible things still stay obvious. It's a hard team to watch.
It is a hard team to watch. You're right. The Ben DiNucci thing, that's funny. Hey, you got to win. Yeah, but Carson Wentz sucks. Ben DiNucci sucks, but you got to win. I'm with you. I feel that same type of mentality after this game for sure. I think it's spot on. I think it's a perfect way to kind of describe it. But at this point, when you're at this level of the season, you got to find ways, man. You really do. Even if it's the littlest thing to hold your hat on, you got to find the littlest things. I saw the same problems. We all see the same issues. We see the neutral zone and the D zone problems continuing to occur. So it is something that is an issue. Now, I do want to bring up the Eastern standings here because I did see the Bruins once again. So the Bruins are 26. This is crazy. The Bruins have fallen off a bit. The 26 games played, same with the Flyers. The Bruins are 14-8-4. The Flyers are 14-9-3. So they have the same amount of games played in that 4 spot. The Penguins have put it together a little bit since making those franchise-changing moves up top in the front office. But, man, the Flyers and the Bruins, they are battling for that 4 spot. They haven't been able to score a 5-on-5 goal, it seems, for 3,000 years, that Bruins team. So while it's not pretty, I'm telling you, they're right there. And it might not be a product. And we have to stress this. We can't stress it enough. It might not be a product of how great the Flyers are, but it might be a product of where this division is. Whew, you're right there. And I tie that to Ben DiNucci or not, Carson Wentz playing bad or not, this Flyers team grinded it out. Maybe they can hold their hat onto this. If they beat the Rangers again, all right. Let's see what this means for the Islanders series coming up. So it all really does depend on what ends up happening. Because when they beat the Sabres and they came back, it was like, wow, that's great. And you stopped the bleeding. What will happen against the Caps? Well, you end up losing 2 to the Caps, and it meant nothing. So it's a good win. If you beat the Rangers again, okay, then let's see what the Islanders. I get it. It's kind of getting far and getting pushed ahead here. You got to take one game at a time. But the Wednesday game against the Rangers will tell me more about this game, if that makes sense. And then from there, the Islanders series will tell me more about what this 2-game set against the Rangers was all about.
In no means a perfect game for the Flyers. From a neutral standpoint, that was a great game, back and forth. Flyers getting a goal, it gets called back because it's offside. Overtime winner from Voracek. Great game, great goal from Voracek. And I got to give a shout out to Carter Hart and even Kincaid from the Rangers. Unfortunate for him to give up the pass for Voracek to capitalize on the overtime goal, but both netminders played very, very well tonight.
Yeah, they had their moments for sure. And look, Carter Hart, I thought, at the end of the day, he did a solid job. Could he have been better in some areas? Yeah, I think so. But if you look at the breakdowns that happened in front of him for all of the 4 goals, there were insane, brutal breakdowns that happened in front of him for all 4 brutal goals. So, there's reasons to it. There's reasons why this all happened. It wasn't to the point where, hey, Carter really needed that one, or ooh, kind of like when Brian Elliott, I don't know what that ooh was at all, but when Brian Elliott allowed that first goal the other night and it hit over his shoulder and ended up going back into the back of the net, that kind of goal, like that didn't happen tonight. So I think it's something that kind of like with the team aspect can hold their hat on to something. With Carter Hart, it's all right, hey, look, good game. Good game. Let's see if we can move forward. Solid game. Not a perfect game, but a solid, good game for a player that needs to build his confidence back up and figure out where he is right now mentally, for sure. So, also, real quick, before we head out of here, and, first I'll tell you about my friends over at DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, has unbelievable promotions and odds boost. There's no better way to put your college basketball knowledge to the test than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't worry, if college basketball isn't for you, DraftKings Sportsbook offers great odds and promotions on golf, hockey, and so much more. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up. That's code Brodes when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, new customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So what we are implementing about once a week right now, we did it for the first time tonight, is myself, Mark Farzetta, Riley Cote and Nasty, who is the former equipment manager for the Flyers for a long, long time. Awesome dudes. We're doing a live stream after the Flyers games about once a week or so right now. We did the first one today. It is located on my YouTube channel for me. Nasty and Riley have a fantastic podcast, Nasty Knuckles Pod. It has all the old-time Flyers, some new Flyers, some relevant Flyers now. Not relevant, that's not the word I'm looking for, but the players now on the team, active players, that's the word I'm looking for, active players on the team now. They do interviews. It's a phenomenal pod, and Farzy has the Farzy Show. That's on his Twitter page, his YouTube channel as well. But we're coming together once a week right after a Flyers game and having a post-game show, so be on the lookout for that as we move forward. Super exciting stuff, and I'm stoked to continue to do it. So, look, with that being said, I'll see you guys on the next show. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.